Welcome, my friends. Come a little closer. Let the day get quiet. Let the noise in your head slow down. Imagine a small lamp on a table. The light is warm. Outside, the air is cool. You can hear soft footsteps on a street. Maybe you smell tea, or paper, or old books. Close your eyes and imagine a newspaper on a wooden table. Close your eyes and imagine a pencil moving slowly, like a tiny dancer. Imagine a room where many people are silent, but their minds are full of sound. Imagine the small scratch of graphite and the small victory of one right word. Have you ever stared at a blank square and felt brave and silly at the same time? Did you ever wonder why a simple word game can pull you in so deeply? How did little boxes become a kind of home for so many minds? Why do people feel calm when they fill a grid with letters? What if a puzzle is not only a game, but a small way to practice hope? And why does one clue sometimes feel like a door you cannot open? Today, we will walk back in time to the hidden history of crossword puzzles. We will do it in simple English, and we will learn through a real story. In the beginning, the dream was simple. People wanted a small game with words. They wanted something light, but also smart. They wanted to feel that spark inside, that little click in the brain, and they wanted it to happen at home with a pencil in hand. But here's the surprising thing. A crossword is not a loud kind of fun. It is quiet fun. It is the kind of fun that sits next to you, like a calm friend. It does not run fast. It waits, and that is part of the dream. So what is a crossword in simple words? A crossword is a word puzzle. It has a grid. A grid is a set of squares in rows and lines. Some squares are empty, some are blocked. You read clues. A clue is a hint. You write answers across and down. One word helps another word. That's why it feels like a connected world, and people fell in love with that world. But then, something changed. The first crosswords were not perfect. They were new, they were strange. Some people did not understand them. Some people looked at the grid and felt lost. Have you ever opened something new and thought, "Is this for me?" Have you ever felt the doubt before you try? Some people said, "This is a waste of time." Some people said, "This will make people lazy." Others said it is too hard. And some said it is too easy, isn't it funny? The same thing can feel too hard and too easy, depending on the person. Still, the dream stayed alive. Because words are close to the heart. We talk with words. We think with words. We make friends with words. So a word game can feel like a small mirror. It shows you what you know, and it shows you what you can learn. Here's a small speaking moment. Say it with me. I can find the word. One more time, I can find the word. When people solve a crossword, they do not only fill squares. They also build courage. They learn patience. They learn to wait for the right idea. And when the right idea comes, it feels like light turning on inside the mind. Have you felt that before? That sudden change from I don't know to oh, I know. But there was a problem. A crossword needs good clues. A crossword needs fair clues. If clues are too unclear, people quit. If clues are too easy, people get bored. So the puzzle had to grow. It had to change. It had to become a craft. Imagine early puzzle makers at a desk. They test words, they cross words, they erase, they try again. They want the grid to hold together, like a basket made of letters. They want each word to support another. Like friends holding hands in a line. And the readers, they are like travelers. They enter the grid. They walk across, they turn down, they meet walls, they turn again, they keep going. Why do we enjoy that kind of journey? Why do we like a challenge that does not hurt us, but still asks for effort? Here's the surprising thing again. Many people do crosswords not to be perfect, but to feel steady. They like the routine. They like the quiet fight with a clue. They like that it is just hard enough. It is a small mountain, not too high, not too low. Repeat after me. Just one more clue. Try this phrase. Just one more clue. And that is how a crossword becomes part of life. You do it in the morning. Or at night. You do it on a train. You do it at a kitchen table. Sometimes you do it alone. Sometimes you do it with someone you love. Have you ever shared a clue with a friend and laughed? Have you ever said, "What could this be?" and felt closer after you solved it? But then, something changed again. Crosswords became more than a toy. They became a habit. A small daily practice. And when something becomes a habit, people start to care about it. They talk about it. They compare puzzles. They look for better ones. They want puzzles that feel alive. And that's when the build began. Puzzle makers worked harder. They learned what readers liked. They tried new styles. They played with language. They kept the dream, but they shaped it with skill. It was not just words in boxes. It was a kind of design, like building a tiny city out of letters. But there was a problem hiding inside the fun. Words can be tricky. Language can change. A clue that made sense years ago may not make sense now. New words appear. Old words fade. So the crossword had to keep changing too. It had to stay close to real life. Did you ever wonder why crosswords can teach you culture, not just vocabulary? Why does a clue sometimes feel like a small time machine? Why can one puzzle show you how people live, what they eat, what they value, what they joke about? And here's the most gentle truth. When you solve a crossword, you practice looking again. You practice not giving up. You practice holding two feelings at once, doubt and hope. You look at a blank square, and you say, not yet. Then you try again, say it with me, not yet, I try again. One more time, not yet, I try again. In a way, that is the heart of the story. A crossword is a small dream made of squares. And every time you fill one, you make a tiny change in your mind. You go from empty to full, from lost to found, from I can to maybe I can. But the story does not stop there. Because once people truly loved crosswords, a new question appeared. What happens when a simple game becomes a big part of daily life? And what happens when a whole world starts to chase that quiet feeling of victory? The love for crosswords grew slowly like a plant near a window. Not in one day, not in one loud moment. It grew over time. People began to look forward to the next puzzle. They wanted that calm battle. They wanted that warm light in the mind. But here's the surprising thing. A crossword does not only test what you know, it also tests how you think. It asks you to guess. It asks you to connect. It asks you to see a word from a new angle. Have you ever had a clue that felt impossible, and then suddenly felt easy? Why does that change happen? And that's when the puzzle became a training ground. Not for school tests, not for grades, but for real-life thinking. In real life, we often do not have full answers. We have clues, we have hints, we have half ideas. So we try, we fail, we try again. Does that sound familiar? Some people started to make crosswords harder. They used clever clues. A clever clue is a clue that has a twist. It makes you smile when you finally understand it. But then, a problem appeared. If puzzles become too clever, they can feel unfair. They can feel like a secret club. And people do not like being locked out. Have you ever felt locked out by a hard word? So puzzle makers had to balance two needs. They needed challenge. And they needed kindness. They needed to respect the reader. They needed to give a fair path, like a good storyteller. A good story surprises you, but it does not cheat you. That is how crosswords learn to grow with people, not away from them. Try this phrase. This clue is tricky. Repeat after me. This clue is tricky. Now, think about the simple tools of a crossword. You need a grid, you need clues. You need answers that fit together. That is all. And yet, that small set can create endless worlds. Isn't that amazing? How can something so small hold so many stories? Because every word carries a story. Even a small word can carry a memory. The word home can carry a whole life. The word change can carry a whole year. The word dream can carry a whole future. That is why crosswords can feel warm. They are made of human life, pressed into letters. But there was a problem that many solvers know well. The blank space, the stuck moment. The feeling of being trapped by one square. What do you do then? Do you quit? Do you get angry? Or do you breathe and wait? Here's the surprising thing. Many solvers learn a gentle skill. They learn to step away. They learn that the mind keeps working quietly. You take a sip of water. You look out the window. You come back later. And suddenly the answer is there, waiting. Why does the mind do that? Why does stepping away sometimes save you? This is where crosswords teach a soft kind of courage. Not loud courage. Quiet courage, the courage to pause. The courage to say, I don't know yet. The courage to let the answer come. Say it with me. I don't know yet. One more time. I don't know yet. And that's when crosswords move deeper into daily life. People use them to wake up the brain in the morning. People use them to slow down at night. People use them to feel steady in a changing world. When life feels fast, a crossword feels slow. When life feels noisy, a crossword feels quiet. Have you ever needed that kind of quiet? But then, something changed in how people played. At first, many people used paper. They used pencils. They erased and erased. The paper got soft and gray from the eraser. It looked like a map of effort. There is something beautiful about that, isn't there? A page that shows your struggle, not just your result. Over time, people also found new ways to do puzzles. Some used different kinds of books. Some shared puzzles with friends. Some made their own puzzles for others. And that's when a new dream appeared. Not only to solve, but to create. Creating a crossword is its own journey. You must choose words that can cross well. You must place them so they lock together. You must write clues that guide but do not push too hard. It is like building a small bridge. It must hold weight. It must be safe. It must feel fair. But there was a problem. Language is huge, and people are different. A clue that feels clear to one person may feel confusing to another. A word that feels common to one person may feel rare to another. So crossword makers had to listen. They had to learn. They had to adjust. They had to change with the world around them. Have you ever noticed how words can show what a society cares about? Why do certain words appear often in puzzles? Why do certain topics become popular? Why do some clues feel old and others feel fresh? And what does that say about us? Here's the surprising thing again. Crosswords can be a kind of time capsule. A time capsule is a box you bury to save things from your time. In simple words, it is a way to keep a piece of life. A crossword keeps pieces of language. It keeps jokes, habits, and ideas. So later, someone can open that box and see what people once found normal. And that's when the crossword became more than a game. It became a small record of how we think. It became a soft mirror of culture. Now, let's talk about you, my friend. You are listening in simple English. You are learning. And a crossword fits this path very well. Because it trains your eyes to notice patterns. It trains your mind to connect meanings. It helps you meet words again and again. And repetition builds strength. Just like walking builds strong legs. Repeat after me. Words can connect. Say it with me. Words can connect. But there is one more twist in the story. The crossword did not stay only in quiet corners. It started to become a shared challenge. People talked about clues. People argued about answers. People laughed about funny wordplay. Wordplay means playing with words in a clever way. It is like a small magic trick with language. And that's when a new kind of joy appeared. Not just the joy of solving alone. The joy of solving together. Have you ever solved a problem with someone and felt your hearts get lighter? Have you ever said, "We did it," and felt proud in a gentle way? So the crossword carried two feelings at once. A private feeling and a shared feeling. A quiet dream and a social change. A calm home moment and a small connection to strangers who love the same thing. But there was still a big question waiting. If crosswords can bring calm, can they also help people during hard times? If words can connect, can they also hold us up when life feels heavy? And what happens when the world outside the puzzle starts to shake? Sometimes the world does shake. Life changes. Days become busy, minds become tired, and in those moments, people often look for small anchors. An anchor is something that holds a boat in place. In simple words, it helps you not drift away. For many people, a crossword became that kind of anchor. Here's the surprising thing. When you fill a grid, you create order. You take scattered clues and build a clear picture. You take small pieces and make a whole. And that can feel soothing. Have you ever cleaned a small space and felt calmer after? A crossword can feel like that, but inside your mind. But there was a problem. If you depend on a puzzle only to escape, you may forget the deeper gift. The deeper gift is not escape, it is practice. Practice in patience. Practice in focus. Practice in hope. Practice in gentle courage. Because every crossword begins with empty squares. It begins with not knowing. It begins with doubt. And still, you begin. Isn't that like many things in life? Have you ever started a new skill and felt foolish at first? Have you ever wanted to stop? But you stayed one more minute. Say it with me. I begin with courage. One more time. I begin with courage. Now, think about the story engine of crosswords. First, there is the dream. A small game with words, a warm habit, a quiet joy. Then, there is the doubt. Is this useful? Is this too hard? Who would want this? Then there is the build. Puzzle makers shape the craft, and solvers build skill, one clue at a time. Then there is the turn. Crosswords become part of culture, part of daily life, part of how people relax and connect. But then comes the threat, in a soft way. The threat is not a monster. It is frustration. It is the stuck feeling that makes you want to quit. It is the voice that says, "I'm not smart enough." Have you ever heard that voice? And that's when the crossword offers a smart solution. The solution is not to be perfect. The solution is to keep moving, to fill what you can, to use crosses, to let one answer help another, to step away and return, to ask for help, to learn without shame. Try this phrase. Let us try another clue. Repeat after me. Let's try another clue. This is where crosswords teach a very human lesson. We do not solve big problems in one jump. We solve them by small steps. We solve them by trying again. We solve them with support. We solve them with time. And that is why crosswords can be friendly for language learners too. You do not need perfect English to enjoy word games. You only need curiosity. You only need the willingness to meet words again. Over time, those words become familiar. They become part of your home inside the language. But here's the surprising thing. When you learn words, you also learn how people think. You learn what they notice. You learn how they joke. You learn what they shorten, what they repeat, what they love. A crossword is like a window into that world. Isn't that exciting? What if every clue is a small invitation? And now we reach the legacy. Why do we still care today? Because crosswords are simple, but they are not empty. They are small, but they are deep. They show us that learning can be cozy. They show us that effort can be gentle. They show us that the mind can be trained with kindness. Crosswords also remind us that a dream does not need to be huge to matter. A dream can be a quiet ritual. A small page, a few minutes, a pencil, a cup of tea, a soft lamp. And still it can change your day. Have you ever felt your mood change after you solved one clue? Have you ever felt more awake, more steady, more hopeful? Have you ever felt that small light inside your head like a candle being lit? Say it with me. The answer will come. One more time. The answer will come. Of course, we don't have every detail of the earliest days. Records can be incomplete. People remember different things. But we do know the shape of the story. We know why crosswords stayed. They stayed because they fit the human heart. We like to search. We like to connect. We like to feel progress. We like to turn doubt into a small win. And that is the real hidden history. Not only what happened long ago, but what happens every time you sit with a puzzle. You enter with questions. You meet silence. You struggle. You change. You find a word. You move forward. Now, my friend, let's end in a calm place. Think about your own life. Where do you need a little more patience? Where do you need a little more hope? What small dream is waiting for you, even if it is just one tiny step? And when you feel stuck, remember the crossword way. Step back, breathe. Try again. Let one small answer help the next. Let your heart stay gentle as you learn. Good night, my friends. May your mind feel warm and safe. May your dreams be kind. And may tomorrow bring you a little light and a quiet change.